Believe we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Roadrunners Unfiltered. It's your host, Darian Starling here. It is 2024, and I'm definitely excited to be back. I took a couple of weeks off from making live content as we went through bowl season and the holidays and things like that. I wanted to make sure I got the family taken care of with nice gifts. But now we are back rolling. The new year started. Everybody has returned to work, and I am back in the saddle once again. There's a lot to talk about with UTSA. I wanted to give it a couple of weeks just to kind of let some of the news stir up as we enter the offseason. But there's just so much going on over the past few weeks regarding transfer portal stuff. We've lost a lot of players. Frank Harris is retired. All of the talk around the transfer portal and how it's impacting G5 schools. If you have not caught my video that I released yesterday, I advise you to do that because, but we'll touch on some of that stuff here today as well. But the first thing I want to talk about to kind of get us started here is the transfer portal and the signing class and what I think we addressed and what we haven't addressed based on what people from our team has entered the transfer portal or have left the program. And there's a couple of positions that I really, really want to highlight that I think that we need to address with this sort of second period of signing day, because I believe players are going to sign again in the spring or next month at the beginning of February. And then there's going to be another transfer window that opens up for about 2 weeks in April. But if you guys noticed, we had two guys who at the linebacker position who entered the transfer portal. I don't know if you guys seen it. Now, this is probably in some way, shape, or form related to us getting a new linebacker coach, if I had to guess. And whenever there's coach changes and things like that, guys who are maybe not do not have an established spot in a rotation, if they hear that new guys are coming in or things like that, it may make them a little bit antsy and make them leave. But I think this stuff is pretty key. We lost Rodney Groyce. He entered the portal. He played in 6 games this season for UTSA. We lost Avery Morris as well. He played over the last 2 seasons, has 76 tackles for us and has 6 tackles for loss. So two guys who have been in the rotation, who've gotten game time for us, and we lost them at that linebacker position. When you also take a time to look at the early signings that we had, if you go down all of the names that we have listed, we don't have any linebackers. So that's obviously going to be a point of attention for our recruiters to make sure we brush that up. I think that we did good filling some spots because we're losing Joshua Cephas is moving on, and we're losing Takiogo Kellogg. We're losing a lot of the receivers that we had that have been great for us, and then we don't know what JT Clark's future looks like, but we did address the receiver position. We got JJ Sparkman out of Texas Tech, which I think is going to be good. He's a big body at 6'4", 225 pounds. Then we got a couple of other guys, from high school, from Florida, that's going to come in and play at the receiver position. So, it's nice that we are starting to address some of the things that where we had holes, but I don't know if we expected these two guys to enter the transfer portal. But speaking on the defense, though, just think about it. We lost those 2 rotation linebackers. We lose Cam Alexander, who entered the transfer portal, which I'm going to talk about that situation at depth here in a second. And then obviously the big one we lost, Cam Alexander's a big one as well, but we lost Trey Moore too to UT, which is a huge thing. And I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to go into some of that now. Let me you guys get your comments in on what you guys think about some of these moves. But here's the thing I'll say about, and this was sort of the point I was trying to convey on my video yesterday. These guys who, especially at the cornerback position, so Cam Alexander decided to move on, and I was looking at some of the comments in the video. They were just talking about the NIL money, putting cap on earnings and things like that. And I don't think we should put caps on earnings. However, I just think the advice needs to be a little bit better for some of these guys, or not even a little bit better, because I don't know what they're being advised, right? But what I will say is I'm just curious to know what that process and what that advisory process looks like. You know, is there some sort of third party that these guys are going to that is looking at their situation with an objective lens and saying, hey, you know what, you should go to into the transfer portal and leave this current situation? Because my biggest issue here is I look at a corner in Cam Alexander, and I know for sure how difficult it is to play corner on this level. And whenever you find a situation where you're good and you're comfortable and your coach likes you and the defense suits your playing style, that's not just so easy to go somewhere else and find. You could go to another place, and yes, they may pay you good money, right? They may pay you good money, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go in and win the position battle. Like, I'm sure these guys are being told all the good stuff on the phone, but you still got to go win a position battle. So I look at the Cam Alexander move, and I'm like, he's a really good talent. He's a talented player. The other thing that I think about also is we just had Tariq Woolen get drafted, and he's playing well for the Seahawks, made a Pro Bowl. And I look at Alexander, and I look at his measurements and his size and his attributes and things like that. And I automatically think, like, dude, you can come out of UTSA and go to the league at corner here, especially coming off the back of what Tariq Woolen has already established. Why go somewhere else where you already are here with a guaranteed spot? You're already an all-conference person. You know how this game works. If you win all-conference one time, you're going to be expected to do it, so on and so forth, even if you don't have as good of a season. It happens year in and year out. Once your name is on the map, they're almost expecting you to perform well. And if you perform well, and if you're relatively consistent, you're going to continue to get those accolades, and you're going to continue to get that notoriety that gets you to the next level. So many things have to go right for these players to make it to the next level. Just because you go to a bigger school doesn't mean that you're going to guarantee yourself an NFL opportunity, right? So the reason I bring that up, I say, like, I know how difficult the corner position is, and to find a situation that is really, really good for you, I don't understand leaving that situation. And I understand there's probably short-term financial benefit to it. I am not oblivious to that. My situation is, if you're starting to make an NFL case already, why screw with that? Especially now that this school, UTSA, has proven that we can produce draft picks and good, solid players in the NFL that are making it to their second contracts and things like that. Why go and leave immediately, you know, and then go to another spot where you have to have a position battle? You have to hope that the defensive coordinator likes you and is playing the type of defense that's suitable for your playing style. You have to sort of gamble on all these things. And to me, it's just not worth the risk. It's just not worth the risk. And listen, that's probably why I'm doing podcast shows and not playing on Sundays. But I just don't think I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think on that front. But yeah, I just think the Cam Alexander move was a little bizarre, because I don't think it was necessary. A lot of these guys, and Trey Moore, not so much, right? I don't look at his situation the exact same, because for D linemen, they almost play no matter what school you're at. It's the same way in the NFL. They always do a rotation. There's always a rotation of D linemen, on every single level. So it is more likely that he is going to go into UT, step on the field, and play immediately. It's more likely that he'll do that, right? But for a corner who is not like that, it's not like that so much. Yes, you have three corners come in whenever we're in nickel, you're in nickel formation defensively, or maybe whenever you're in dime, you're playing a dime coverage, you have four corners on the field. But those two guys that are out there, three tops are typically out there the entire game. He was in a situation where he's never coming off the field. Yeah, that's not a huge. I don't know, that to me just wasn't the best move. But thinking about that, if you go and look at who we signed, you also see no corners on the list. We didn't sign any corners. So guess what? Now we have another hole to fill. So right now we have, and another one not to mention that I thought was also interesting, no quarterback. So to me, I think we do need to bring a quarterback in to make sure we have a healthy competition. So the best person can, and that could be Owen McCall, that can be Eddie Lee Marburger, or a new guy. But we need to, I want fierce competition, and I want competition or real pressure from someone that's not Owen McCall or Eddie Lee Marburger, right? I want to know that Owen McCall, if he wins that job, I want to know that he beat out some real experience to win that job. ATX says, hey man, how you doing? ATX says, do you think we had a small early recruiting class because we're going to use the later portal to address any losses? Yeah, absolutely. I think they did that because they were probably anticipating guys leaving and worried about guys leaving. That's the problem that we are at right now. That, we are in a situation where we can't necessarily we can't rely on our players being retained because we don't have the NIL resources to compete with some of these other schools. And right now, the hot thing to do is go get paid. I understand that on a lot of levels, but some of these guys with real NFL chances, especially, it varies by position on how much you should risk and how much you shouldn't risk. It varies by position, obviously. But, some of these guys, the D-line I'm not so concerned about, but like a corner, that position is so difficult, to put yourself in a position to where you have to go stand out in a camp in the summer, in the offseason in the summer, and then win a position battle in the camp to reclaim your spot at a different school is not it's a crazy gamble to me just to get some short-term money. But I digress on that specifically. But yeah, I just think we have, I just think that we're going to be in this position a lot. We're going to have a small recruiting class up front a lot of the times, and then we are going to backdoor and cover, the things that we lost in the transfer portal in some of the later windows or some of the latest times that we can sign folks. So I think G5 schools, we're going to have to do that because our best players are going to get poached every time. It's sad. It sucks, but it's what the new reality is right now. Aiden Schwartz said, does anyone stand out to you that we've signed so far? Yeah, a couple of them do. J.J. Sparkman, the Texas Tech receiver, I think that is going to be a big signing because, I think that he'll probably come in and play immediately, considering his size, considering he's coming from Texas Tech. He'll probably play immediately, so that one stands out to me. I think another one is the Damian Wimberly from SMU. He's coming in. He's going to come in with some experience. He is going to be someone that is probably going to get some playing time in a rotation regardless, especially with us losing Trey Moore. So, yeah, he stands out to me as one. I think another one that stands out to me is Elijah Newell. He stands out to me because his skill set is so specific. So if you go look at tape on him, he plays a specific type of safety. He plays the dog safety, right? And I think and normally those safeties are closer to the line of scrimmage. They're heavy in run support. They make a lot of tackles, and they play underneath coverages. So he had a lot of interceptions in high school, and most of his interceptions was him playing in underneath coverages and dropping into coverages. So we've seen Rashad Wisdom play that position quite a bit, but Rashad was also versatile enough to go and cover somebody man, or he was versatile enough to go play a deep high safety at times as well. But I think his development is going to be interesting because you can look at the tape on him and you can tell exactly what they're trying to solve for, and that's them trying to solve for Rashad Wisdom leaving. So it's just, I don't know if he's going to come in and play early, but he's somebody that I've seen that I say, oh, okay, this is a skill set that they are targeting a specific position. So, those are my 3 standouts right now. ATX says, what are your thoughts on New Mexico State quarterback Diego Pavia? He hit the portal for his final year, and UTSA made him an offer. Did they? I have not seen that. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of him playing. I'd be curious to know why he hit the portal, number one. I just want to look at his stats and see. And if we did make an offer, that's excellent. Okay. Oh, he had a nice season. All right. Oh, he's experienced. See, this is what I want. He's experienced. So you look at 2022. Now, you got to get that completion percentage up. 53%, 2 years ago. But he was a freshman there. 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But this past season, he did increase his percentage up to 60%, which still needs to be better, but it's an increase. Let's see. He threw for almost 3,000 yards. He was about 27 yards away from 3,000. He had 26 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That right there shows improvements. That's improvement right there. That ratio is really good. So, yeah, I'll say this: if we made him an offer, that's a big deal, because I would hope that he looks at the situation and say, "Yo, I can come in and play." I'd like to have him if he's able to put up numbers like that at New Mexico State, and he come in as a junior. And who knows if he comes in and starts or anything like that. But to me, that shows me that what we're all been talking about and what I've been thinking about too, just over time, is being, followed by the coaches. They think the same thing. Hey, you know what? We have talent. Jeff Traylor is an offensive-minded coach that have been able to put together really good offenses over his tenure as he's been here. And I think that you bring in a quarterback with some experience like that, it's going to push the other guys, number one, and he might just come in and get the job. And if we have some experience and we have a quarterback like that for 2 years, because that also guarantees you good 2 years of good play and good experience, right? He's already done it before. You're not getting a guy that hasn't had that pressure on him, has not played in high leverage games, has not had real success on this level. So you bring him into an offense under some of the stuff that Coach Traylor and team's gonna be able to put out there. I think that could be really, really good. Let's see. Joseph Madrano says, why would a player wait so long to enter the portal and not do it now? You just never know. There's so many situations that can dictate if a player timing and things like that. I think it makes sense if you're going to do it, just rip the Band-Aid off and do it as early as possible. But you never know. Some guys, there's a lot of coaching changes that happens around this time as well. And that right there could have a big influence on what a player does. Like I said, we switched linebacker coaches, and you see we had players entering the portal immediately. So that's kind of the nature of the game. ATX says height of Pavia's season was being in the Conference USA Championship against Liberty, and he beat Auburn. Yeah, bring him in. Absolutely. That is awesome. Yeah. Listen, bring him in. That's kind of what I have to say. I think he'd do well. And listen, I think I think his ethnicity does not hurt either. In San Antonio, it doesn't hurt at all. Would be excellent. I love it. Joseph Madrano says, I feel like next year is a statement year and that our schedule is very favorable. Outside to the Longhorns, which will be a forgivable loss to a college football playoff committee, we need to continue where we left off. I agree that we need to continue where we left off 1,000%. And I think we talked about this one of the last few live chats ago. I worry that people are saying that the schedule is favorable based on what we've been with the players that we've had over the last 3 years. And I am glad that's where the bar is, that they have set a high bar, because the fans and the folks around the program is what sets the bar for the team, right? Like Coach Traylor is obviously self-motivated, and that team is going to be self-motivated, but the hype around the program and the expectations that the fan base has on the program makes, the team understands that. They feel that pressure. You know what I mean? They feel that pressure. They know that what's expected of them. So I'm glad that, we have a lot of folks in the community who feel that we should be in that situation. But I worry about, we don't know with the transfer portal. This is kind of the way my mind is working with this. With the transfer portal, I don't know, like, you just never know what team is going to be good next year. That's the part that I am sort of worried about. Like, you just never know what team's going to be good. I mean, especially whenever you look at teams that are in the same situation as us and we're losing our best players, you just never know what's going to happen. That's the part that kind of bites. But to sort of play devil's advocate, or not even play devil's advocate, but like, I do understand the crux of the question and or the statement, and I do think we need to continue where we left off. I still feel like we should be competing for a conference championship, and I feel like Coach Traylor he's proven to be so good that he's going to have us in the mix regardless. I can't see us having a formidable enough team that can compete on a high level. I can't see him going out there and just flopping the whole time. I can't see that. I will say this. We're going to need better from our offensive coordinator, and I'm sure we'll get some of that fixed and some of that taken care of. But yeah, that is those are some of the things I'm concerned about. Joseph says favorable schedule, meaning no Tulane and no SMU. Okay, fair. That makes sense. Yeah, in that case, I get you a little bit more. No Tulane, no SMU. Make sure you guys drop a like on a video when you get a chance. Aeneas is here. Uh-oh. I see. Biggest out-of-conference game next year is Texas State. Absolutely. That Texas State game is going to be scary. I'll be honest with you. And I think, listen, I'll be really curious to see what happens or who we bring in at the quarterback position. Not that Owen McCown or ELM can't win the job, but I'll be really interested just to see how all that shakes out. That's going to be really, really interesting because, Texas State, if there was ever a time that they can feel like they could sneak up on us, it'd be now. We lost, Frank Harris is not, he's done at UTSA at this point. He had an excellent career. We lost, the one of the center points of our defense in Rashad Wisdom, who've been the leader of that team for a long time. Obviously, with the Trey Moore loss, the Cam Alexander at cornerback, some of the other guys that we're losing, it's huge. The receiver situation just not being proven, and they're going to catch us early in the season. Yeah, that's going to be a huge game, and I am nervous about it. But I want to see what we do in this second wave of signing and that second transfer portal and those sort of things. I want to see what we bring in. And then we'll see what we look like at the spring game and some of the stuff that's going to be coming out of camp later this year. And then we'll see. Let's see. ATX says, a little off topic, but should we retire Frank's number? Seems we would have to keep it in rotation since it's part of the 210. Yeah. No. And it's not that Frank's not a legend. and that sort of thing. I just think that we are too early in our program to start retiring numbers right now. We've only had a football team. We haven't had a football team for 15 years yet. So we should probably get to a couple decades in before we start retiring stuff, and we can retroactively do it or something like that. I don't think that's out of the realm of. I don't know. I just don't think right now. He means a lot to the city, and I'm sure that he's going to be all over the athletics facilities and all over programs, and he's probably going to have a box at the stadium or something like that. Who knows? But I don't know. Considering what they've done with the whole 210 thing and how they do that with the jersey numbers, I like that. I like that sort of tradition. I like that we do that. I don't think you should break it. I think, you have it. Yeah, I don't think you should do it because didn't Rashad had that number too, didn't he? Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't be a huge fan of doing that, to be honest. But they should do something special to honor him, 100%. And I'm sure they will. Let's see. Shykor Productions says, how would JT Clark do next year? Who knows? I hope he does well if he plays. If he plays. Listen, when you're coming off an injury like that, to me, and I hate that it's like this, but it's always a red flag when someone has an injury. They had a timeline, and then they had to go back and get another surgery before they could return. That's always a bad sign. That typically means that injury was so bad that somebody, that particular athlete is probably never going to be the same again. And I don't know if that will I hope he's okay. That's the thing that I'm worried about it the most. I just hope he, is healthy and it's not a situation where his knee is so wrecked that, he's going to have to his regular everyday life is going to be impacted. That's sort of the thing that you always, as a football player and things like that. I've had injuries. A lot of my teammates have had injuries, and when they get serious like that, you don't really worry about what they're going to do next year. I'll tell you this, if he gets back somehow next year and he's healthy and he's ready to go, that'll be huge for our team. Huge. He'll be able to anchor that offense 1,000% alongside those running backs we have, for sure. Joseph says, which worries you more? UTSA offense picking up where they left off, or UTSA defense picking up where they left off? Which worries me more? I am mostly worried about the defense. Picking up where we left off in what way? Which is this insinuating that we didn't play well? We didn't end the season well defensively? I'm already losing my top on it. I think I'm going to say offensively, for the simple fact that defensively, I'm not mad at how our team played defense last year, if I'm honest. I think that in a conference where there's a lot of spread offenses, there's a lot of offenses that just know how to put up points. I think we always for the most part, did a really good job at second half defense and making adjustments at halftime to mute the offense and to halt the opposing offense. So I'd say I am more worried about the offense next year than I am the defense, because we lost Frank Harris, and the quarterback is going to be the engine of your team offensively, and there's question marks around that. We don't know if McCown, or Italy Mark, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be, right? So that, to me, anytime you have a quarterback change that big and then you don't have a receiving core, you may not have that reliable Joshua Cephas that you know for a fact is going to catch the ball and make moves after the catch to get you touchdowns to help you out and things like that. I worry about the offense a little bit more. ATX says, back on topic, in Texas, is Texas State a bit of a paper tiger? They seem to only get wins against teams that are struggling. They won their bowl game, but it was against a backup quarterback that threw 5 interceptions. They could be. But if I'm being completely honest, we won our bowl game against the backup quarterback. So I don't want to get on them too bad, but here's what I'll say. Even if that's the case for Texas State, the fact that they played us close last year, regardless of it was early in the season, whatever, the fact that they played us close last year is worrisome. Then the second fact that they had a successful season and they won a bowl game, they won their first bowl game. That's just what it is. So you just never know what type of momentum those kids are going to be coming into next year with. Now, them losing their coach is going to be interesting because that momentum may have went out the door with him. But, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them 100%. Joseph Madrano says, is there any word on what Zakari Franklin is doing next? You know what? I don't know if there's any word, but here's what I will say, and I'm part of this as well. Because UTSA has been all of the people we've heard, I think Lisa Campos, we've heard Jeff Traylor, we've heard donors. They've tweeted like the big donors who are like the folks out there, really, really advocating for folks to donate money and things like that. And they're really active in the community. They've all used him as an example of, whenever there's a reaction to one of these, something that happens in the transfer portal, the first name you hear is Zakari Franklin. It didn't work over there. I'm guilty of it as well. I talked about it on my video yesterday. We talked about him all season. I don't know. I wonder how that makes him feel. I would welcome him back with open arms. I'll tell you that. But I don't know. I have heard nothing about that situation other than I know him and Coach Traylor was keeping in some contact just based off of, some folks asking Traylor about, if he's spoken to Zakari or anything like that. But I haven't really heard anything concrete on his situation at all. If I do, I'll definitely share it with you guys. But I haven't heard anything. ATX says, let's see, nightmare scenario. Traylor gets poached next season. Who does UTSA call? Will Stein, if he's not already a head coach somewhere. 100%. Yeah. That's who I'm calling. I think some of the other coaches that was on my radar that I was just even looking at a little bit have already been they've already taken other jobs. So whenever Coach Traylor was in the running, for the Texas A&M job, the first thing I did was start to get a list of coaches that I'd be comfortable with. And a lot of those guys have jobs already. And I think the one guy that I did like was the guy from, I think the coach from the coach that just took the Tulane job. I'm drawing a blank on him now. But he was a guy that I liked. But right now I can't think of anybody that's like top of mind right now that would actually come to us. The Liberty head coach is dope. But I don't know if, that's the Troy head coach. That's what I was thinking about. He would have been nice. But I don't know. I don't follow the coaches too clear, but I'd like Will Stein. First off. Shakir Production says, should we get a P5 QB or a G5 QB? I think you just get I think that you get whatever quarterback fits the offensive style that we want to run, whatever quarterback has some experience. I'm almost okay with a G5 QB that's had success than a P5 QB that was in a situation that didn't work out. I'd rather have someone who's proven on the level that he'd be playing in, and you sort of still have some developing to do, right? But he has the experience, the poise, and he's already proven. Like this Diego Pavia guy out of New Mexico State. I haven't seen a lot of him, but I'm just looking at his numbers, and to me, it tells a story. He still has room to improve because his completion percentage should be better. But I don't know what type of offense they were running. Number one. Excuse me. I don't know what type of offense they were running. And then number two, he's just already proven. He's already proven that he can do it on that level. So I'd rather go with a G5 guy who's proven, who can be successful, and go from there. That's what I do. Unless you have a proven P5 guy, but like if you're proven on the P5 level, why would you leave and go to a G5 school? Unless the P5 school is awful, then that makes sense. But normally, good quarterbacks aren't quarterbacks who have had good seasons aren't on awful teams. So that's the logic I like to use. Okay, I think I'm up to date on the comments. Make sure you guys drop some more comments, and make sure you guys drop a like on the video. I want to transition a little bit to another topic that I want to talk about. Is just in general the impact of the transfer portal on or the separation, I guess, that we have between Power 5 and the G5 situation for the transfer portal. This to me is very interesting because we're in a situation where UTSA we're losing our best players every single year. And I don't know what we're going to do about this situation. It's like, I think what everybody is running to is, well, we need more money. Like everybody needs to donate more so the NIL stuff the NIL resources can be better and we can keep these players. Our pockets are never going to be deep as UT's. Let's just be very, very clear about that. Our pockets aren't going to be as deep as, these SEC schools. It's just not. And I find myself like feeling like I like the fact that these guys have the opportunity, or these athletes have the opportunity to make all the money that they make. I don't think there should be any caps. But I'm also torn, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this, but I am trying to figure out where the G5, like what's the G5's place? Like where do they belong? It's almost like they should just create two separate leagues. And I don't even know if that would solve anything. But to me, it's just going to create, there was always this discussion about balance, and like we're going to open the college football playoffs up so G5 schools can now participate and potentially be a national champion. And then you backdoor and undermine it with the way the transfer portal is regulated. It's not the NIL thing. It's not the NIL thing that I'm so much worried about. I just think there needs to be more scrutiny around the transfers in general. I think it would be wrong for the NCAA to be the people that makes a decision, but if they can put in, like, I almost feel like there should be, I just feel like it's too much leniency on the first transfer. Because, I mean, like, every time a transfer portal opens, everybody's just going everywhere. Think about the pressure that puts on coaches, I don't know. I listen, I'll tell you this. I think you're probably going to start seeing less. I'd just be curious to see what the graduation rates look like for some of the athletes that's hopping schools. I just wonder I wonder if that's going to have a negative impact. I don't know if it will, but to me, it feels like it's starting to create a dysfunctional environment. I mean, we seen the other guy that was, I think he went from like LSU to A&M and he transferred somewhere else or something like that. He was a 5-star recruit and he's already transferred twice. And I know he has like a penalty, so he's going to have to wait a year, but like, I don't like the loosey-goosiness in the transfers. I listen, I do agree that like there are some situations that guys should be able to transfer, guys or gals, athletes in general should be able to transfer with no real restriction. If you're in a situation that you don't, like some situations or make sense, like if you didn't make it into the rotation and they've already recruited 3 or 4 people that are, probably going to come in and be above you or something like that, then yeah, leave. Like that makes sense. Like you don't want to just, at that point, your scholarship is in jeopardy. Those scholarships, and I think I've talked about this. I think I've talked about this before. Those scholarships are renewals. You renew those every year. Those scholarships are not 4-year rides, as they seem to be now. Like for the most part, right? You're probably going to get your renewal, but every single year, college players can attest to this. Every single year, you got to go sit in that office and have this little evaluation thing and re-sign your letter. Scholarships are year to year. So especially like, for example, Dion telling those guys in Colorado when he first got there, y'all need to go and get in that portal. Guess what that mean? When it was time to like redo them scholarships, them boys weren't getting a scholarship. That's all that was. Just because you signed that letter of intent don't mean that you got 4 guaranteed years. Nah, it don't work that way, especially with this transfer portal stuff. Listen, players are going to hop around a lot, and coaches are going to be a lot more ruthless. They're not going to waste time with guys who don't want to buy in, guys who don't. It's going to take a little bit more work to develop and get them bought in. They're not going to waste time. They're going to send you right to the portal. And I just think that, like, this is, I don't know. I just worry about the environment that it's creating for the athletes and just for college sports in general. I just, I don't know. I think they're going to have to do something. I don't want them to cap the money because I think the players should get whatever they can. But I wish it was a little bit more restrictive in the transfer portal, so guys are not just hopping around for convenience. That to me is weird, and they're gonna have to do something. And I don't know exactly how this works. And maybe what they do is like they actually do create criteria of P5 and G5 schools, and it might be what might work, and I don't know if this is even in place, but it's just something I'm thinking about now. But they probably should have a situation where, like, Power 5 schools can only get 2 total recruits that transfer into them per, 1 or 2 per window from a G5 school or something like that. Like, I think that would help some of it out. It would help, some of the G5 people keep their players, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me speaking as a bitter UTSA supporter that is mad that we are getting our best players poached. But it just, I don't know. I feel whiny saying that, like, oh, it's not fair, but it isn't. Every time every time it's just right on cue. First team all conference, defensive player of the year. Just we're out. We're going elsewhere. See ya. I mean, just think about New Mexico State. Like, this quarterback has had a really good year, has led them to high heights. And guess the first thing he did? I'm entering the transfer portal, baby. Out of here. That sucks. Not great. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. This was fun. This is another good one. Make sure you guys subscribe. This is your first time being here. And make sure you like the video so we can, this can pop up on more people's feed so we can build the community. But yes, I will be starting these once a week on Wednesdays, 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Just look out on Twitter to get the notification on what time the start time will be. But yes, we're going to be live and in color. I'm going to be covering all the topics with the UTSA football from now until the end of the year, into the season and stuff like that. So we'll build up and we'll do some more fun stuff as well. So thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.